Hello strangers and travelers, wherever you may come from around the world, welcome to Ulgu's Tavern. On today's video, we're just gonna do a small summary as to what was revealed on today's Warhammer Fest. Some pretty cool, exciting things were revealed. Some stuff that I had theorized actually kinda did came through. Today, some stuff that I did theorize actually did come true. If you haven't seen my previous video, I'll put it in the description below, or it'll be just in the corner. And on my video, I had said that I had come up with two theories as to what some thumbs in some short stories that were released before when Broken Realms first started. I found it really odd that the Destruction faction had 3 short stories that had nothing to do with the main story, but in here they finally made that connection that I was hoping for, because in those short stories some of the orcs and some of the Sons of Behemoth, and at the very end kragnos, they would hear some thumps. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I did pull it up right here. I did pull up one of the stories here called Broken Realms Fiction, The Squint. I pulled it up specifically because here they mentioned something interesting. They mentioned about a prophecy, and then in that video I had said that some of the things that had happened in this short story had already come up, and that prophecy was, I lost it right here, when the Magister comes up and he tells Skagrod that if he wants the prophecy, it's just right here. You go to your death, the gate will shatter. As we know, the gates have been shattering now that Belacor did his thing, and basically now we know that the realm gates can be destroyed. The earth will tear. That is the one that I wasn't sure exactly what this one was gonna mean right here, but now we know, because we know that Kragnos is actually a god of destruction, and he is the god of earthquakes. The earth will tear, meaning he is gonna create some havoc. He's, as the name implies, he's gonna be the earthquake. He's gonna be destruction incarnate, which is amazing. Finally, the orcs, and finally destruction has a god. So here we're gonna just talk about it, summarize what they revealed. So as I said, they revealed Kragnos finally. I won't play the video. They do show some interesting tidbits, but you can watch it yourself. I will leave you that so you can enjoy that video yourself, because it really is a cool video. It kind of does get you hyped up to finally see Kragnos and finally know how he's gonna play like in the tabletop. And so we're gonna start off with the first things here. Yeah, we see Kragnos. Free at last from, and here it says, free at last from the mystical bonds, the ancient god of earthquakes, slayer of dragons, and force of unalloyed destruction, he returns to the rock to rock the mortal realms. Which the destruction faction was due, or it was due for a god finally. So finally they have a god. And now finally the last of the factions have a god representing them. So it continues. Here is the other video that you can see. They show off more of the model that we can see here. The last survivor of an ancient race, Kragnos, is like nothing we've seen in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar. He's worshipped as a god by the forces of destruction, and it's easy to see why. He towers over all but the mega gargants, and tales of his might have been passed down since the age of myth. And actually, now that I think about it, they did mention something when the Sons of Behemoth were first released. In one of their bios, they did say that one of their prophecies from their people, they talk about a Titan. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Yeah, I have it right here. See, on this article, if I remember correctly, it was where is it? Ah, here it is. So here they do say, what's more, the Gargants themselves speak of a coming of a new world titan that will take up the mantle of leadership in ushering a new era of glory for the Gargants. So now that we know that Kragnos is part of the destruction, then more than likely that's the new titan, since it was confirmed that Kragnos is a demigod. He's not like a full-on god, so that's the new titan that they've been waiting for. So now here we get the model itself, and it's pretty cool, the model. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in just a little. And yeah, just look at it, just looks pretty amazing. You can see all the fine details. That's gonna be one heck of a thing to paint. It's gonna be a big model, that is for sure. And there's the little effigy. It's cool. It's got a bunch of little details, and it's gonna be quite interesting to paint it. There's that the little section right here that I had said that one of the rumor engines, it was more than likely his shield, and that's what it was actually. That's one of the rumor engines I remember us seeing, and actually his horns as well. I remember that was also a rumor engine. And maybe one of his hooves, but I do not remember. But for sure it was his shield and his horns. But it looks pretty cool. The face is a little bit iffy. It's okay. But the rest of the model, top. It is just top. It is it's pretty cool. It's gonna take a lot of a steady hand to be able to paint all of this. But top model. As to how much it's gonna cost, that's gonna be another issue. Since he's a god tier, he's more than likely gonna be a little pricey. So then it continues. Kragnos is a knight unstoppable juggernaut of destruction, especially when wielding the legendary shield Tuskbreaker. Armed with the dread mace made from the heart of a mountain, his realm-splitting might becomes truly cataclysmic. Having hunted the ancient race of drakes nearly to extinction for little more than sport, there is not much left that can survive his focused rage. So now he's just gonna do the thing that destruction does. Just gonna go ahead and do some destroying. And that's cool that his mace is actually made from the heart of a mountain. As we know, mountains do have a spirit, so they have a heart, and that's gonna be one heck of a mace to feel. And here to do more details, showing it more. I think, that's cool. He's actually gonna have two faces. That means that you're gonna be able to interchange his faces. There's gonna be one with his mouth closed, which, looking at it with the mouth closed, it looks much better than when you see it with his mouth open like that. That kind of looks a little bit funky to me, but that looks much better. So I think if I were to get this, I would probably go for, to building it, I would probably go for the closed mouth, because that open mouth seems kind of funky, especially sideways. It was kind of trollish to me. But I don't know, what's your opinion? Do you prefer it? What's your opinion? You can go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. Do you prefer it closed or open? And then we get a little closer look at his shield, and that's the part that I was saying. This little section right here was the section that we saw in the rumor engine. That's pretty cool. We also get a closer look at the sides, and yeah, that's the little effigy is kind of cool as well. It's gonna be one heck of a thing to paint. I see they used some washes right here, huh? Showing that little technique right there. So then we continue. It continues with Kragnos commands the respect of the armies of destruction who value strength and power more than anything else. They worshipped him in the ancient times, and news of a return spread quickly throughout the mortal realms. You can even spot a devotional effigy on his base, similar to those popping up all around Gur and beyond. Now, who might be building those? Let's see. If we had to analyze a little bit their little effigy, that's clearly supposed to be Kragnos right here. He has a little weird face, plus the horns. But this little bottom face is what interests me. What could that be? A squig, maybe? But it's too small to be a squig. Maybe this could be, since he does come from a mountain and he was buried there. I know they did say that he was buried there by the Slan, but it could be maybe the silent people. Maybe him coming here will actually give us something about the silent people that were mentioned in Beastgrave, which also takes place in Gur. So maybe that's the people that he also mentions that his people were gone. So it could be the silent people. So we'll see, maybe. But that also, I think, leads me to believe that I think when they finally make the decision to release the 3rd edition, it's gonna be one of the Stormcast, maybe that fabled Bretonnian Eska that people have been rumoring about, against Destruction, which would be Kragnos and somebody else, or maybe finally the silent people making a not really a return, because they were never shown, so maybe their debut. So then here we get some rules for his model, some little teasers as to what they're gonna do. But as for me, I'm more interested about reading about his story. And here it says, as the legend has it, the disc of his shield, Tuskbreaker, earned his name by clipping Gorka Morka's tooth. We love it because it got stylized picture of Kragnos on it, including the shield itself. That's pretty cool. So basically he has a picture of his shield in his shield. So the guy really likes his shield. And it goes back to the little Gorka Morka stuff. Here for Kragnos, it's that he chipped the tooth of Gorka Morka. As we know, with the Gloomspike Git is the spider that he one of the factions from the Moon Clan is the spider that he bit Gorka Morka. So it always has to do with Gorka Morka. Maybe they will make a split Gorka Morka into two and give them to Grok and Skagrok. I mean to Gordrak. You can learn all of this returning deity in Broken Realms Kragnos, which will finish out the series with a bang. And this bang right here could lead me to believe that I think they're getting ready this summer for the release of 3rd edition. I think the way it's gonna end is gonna tease it and what's coming up next. Because this is actually culminating to very, very big plot lines. As I had said in this prophecy that Skagrok got, it talks about a lot of stuff that's been going on with the Broken Realm saga and everything that has been happening with the whole realm gates getting destroyed, Stormcast not being able to return to a seer. It's actually ending pretty well. And now we're gonna find out what the Salon has been doing this whole time. And they did say that Alario was gonna get some updates. So finally, the people who have been wishing to get Alario to get updated, she's finally getting some updates. So that is nice and welcome. But I'm really interested to figure out how exactly this is gonna end, how everything is gonna tie up in the end, and how is the return of kragnos gonna change everything in the lore. What's gonna be his past, since he does come from the Age of Myth, so hopefully we get to find out a little bit more what happened in the Age of Myth, since we know very little as to what happened in the Age of Myth. Here we got the other models that are gonna be released with him. So we got the Witch Hunters, so we know that the Cities of Sigmar are going to be slowly updated with newer models, maybe more of the Witch Hunter models, but hopefully maybe some of the other races from the Age of Sigmar do get updated. Maybe with the old world, the Bretonians, you know, the little old Bretonian models, maybe they're going to be updated. We also get the old picture of Lord Croak, which in all his glory, and apparently he's going to be a prominent figure in this Broken Realms. And also we get the two twins, the voice of Slaanesh and the talent of Slaanesh, which came up in the prophecy that I had mentioned earlier. And then we also have the new Sylvaneth, that this one I actually really like. I can't wait to get that one. And that involves with the whole Alario, that how she's gonna get updated stuff. Here it is. So let me try to zoom in here. So these are the Knights Excelsior. So we know that Gordrak has been moving to Excelsis to attack it, and then on the video they did say that kragnos is attacking the same city. So we'll see how Gordrak is going to react to the fact that kragnos, demigod, is going to be there. We'll see if maybe they end up fighting to see who's the bigger boss, since the orcs are about who is the strongest. And here we're gonna find out how strong kragnos really is. But here's just a little teaser of how they said that every destruction faction could use kragnos, so that's pretty cool. Maybe kragnos is gonna come with his own kind of little, kind of like how the orc war clans have the big wall. Maybe kragnos is gonna have his own thing where he can use actually every single model. That'll be pretty cool. And then we get the soulblights. Here we get to see this new model called Laukavai, the Mother of Nightmares. Vampires of the Avangori dynasty seek to slake their thirst on the very largest and strongest prey, and they're led by to battle by Laukavai. Her twisted body rears up in high over the battlefield, the splendor and horror of her form representing the darkly irresistible nature of the soulblight gravelords. Laukavai makes the perfect centerpiece to your collection, and we can't wait to see how people paint her up. It's pretty cool, the model. It's kind of interesting. Kind of looks like the Morgul from the Nine Hots a little bit. There's a little part here, but it's pretty interesting. It's kind of confusing to the eye because you see a monster here and then it cuts off halfway, and then you see just a regular vampire. I think it would have looked more cool maybe if the arms were spread out. I have no idea, but then that would have been too massive probably, but looks pretty cool. It just looks to me, it kind of looks confusing when you see this part and then like it cuts off, you see two arms and then you see another two arms. But other than that, it looks pretty cool. It's getting that At least the upper part does give me vibes of the old vampire counts of old. So it's pretty cool. And then it reads Lao Kavai is the undisputed commander of a murderous clan of beasts and monsters. Though she retains an aspect of noble knighthood, her dark thirst drives her to commit unspeakable acts of slaughter. Now the other interesting when it comes to the soulblights is since the old vampire counts used to be from bloodlines, are they going to be using kind of the same thing where you use, for example, are you going to use the Neferata, or are you going to use Manfred? And that'll be pretty interesting. Maybe each of them give different synergies to the counts, or maybe some of these counts are going to be loyal to one or the other. And here we get a little of the non-name variant. It's just a regular one, but I kind of like that post better. But maybe it's the same post, it's just sideways. Probably it's the same post, but it's still kind of confusing seeing it just cut off halfway. But it looks pretty cool. The armor on it looks pretty amazing. Then we get Radukar the Beast, and they had said that this is Radukar after you have quote unquote killed him in the Cursed City. That's if you had a chance to buy it and play it. So a little tease, but sadly they didn't mention anything that had to do with the Cursed City, which is sad, but I guess it was expected. I really didn't I was hoping that they mentioned the Cursed City, but I didn't expect for them to actually say anything about it. This is the closest thing we're gonna get to a tease about it. And actually this model looks way better than the actual Cursed City model, because in the Cursed City model he looks too chubby, and here he looks proper. He looks like an actual menacing vampire, and it looks pretty cool. I think this model would have been 10 times better than what we got in the Cursed City. Even though the Cursed City is top, this one would have been much better. It looks proper, I don't know, like Norska vampire-esque, which is pretty cool. Here they do get a little bit update. As it turns out, rumors of Radukar, the wolf's demise, have been greatly exaggerated. Now known as the Beast, his animal rage has been unleashed. He bides his time prowling Shaiish and plotted revenge. Swollen with power and corrupted in form, he has retained his animal cunning, lust for power, and thirst for blood, and the wolf pelt cloak, which honestly fits him better now. Which slightly they admitted that this is a much better model, and yeah, this looks proper menacing. His blood going into the chalice, you know, giving the blood kiss. It's pretty cool. This is actually a much better one. Now, Vela Dama Volga, first of the Virkos. So they are doing the whole bloodline things like the old vampire counts, and this one does look like the Cursed City model, and this is what I mean. It looks too fluffy. It looks too much. Even though it looks cool, the I want to say the dire wolves look pretty cool actually. Just the models like this part right here is a bit, I think it's a bit too much. The rest is pretty cool, but this top part is a little bit too much. Then we get the updated dire wolves. Now these look pretty cool. You got a little saliva here and all that little details. You got some of the scratches, and I know some people have been clamoring for some updates for these little guys, and they finally get it. They actually look proper now. They don't look old as hell. Got a little guy eating his flesh. Yeah, they're pretty cool. So if you're excited to get more of your vampire lords, yeah, they're finally gonna get their own army. The soulblights are finally gonna become a proper, and I think more than likely for 3rd edition they are going to replace Legions of Nagash, and this is gonna be just soulblight gravelords, and Legions of Nagash is gonna be no more, since also Nagash has been defeated. I think for 3rd edition a lot of things are gonna change, and that is what the whole burst of rebirth of Kragnos and everything, all that is just gonna change, and I think they're just gearing up to tie some loose ends and ending it with a bang, so 3rd edition can just start new fresh, bring up new factions. And then Soul Arena, not really interested on it. It's a mobile game. I don't like mobile games. But yeah, tell me what you guys thought about the whole first day of Warhammer Fest. Go ahead and leave a comments below, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. I liked it a lot. I'm hoping for the book soon, and once that happens, I'll be updating soon. As I said, I'll be still continuing with my little summaries, making a proper timeline of to the events that have been happening. So look forward to that, and remember, not everything is what it seems in the realm of Ulgu.